Ignition liftoff. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have liftoff.
Today we're joined by Emily English, nutritionist, content creator and founder, where we chat all things building a brand, earning trust and growing a business that actually makes an impact. So let's find out why she's a lady who launched. Right, before we get into it, if you like this episode, which I know you're going to, please don't forget to like and subscribe and to share it to your group chat. Welcome to Ladies Who Launch.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for being here. I've followed you for so long. I've made about 50 of your recipes. And actually so has my husband, which is a really good credit to you,
remember
by the
the
way.
pie.
Yes. Yes, it was, and it was a good one. And it's the first thing that I'm like, that he's taken his own initiative with. And then we had this thing for a while where I'd be like, send him, because basically his New Year's resolution one year was he was going to cook once or twice a week because he just hasn't ever bothered. And his excuse was always, oh, you're better than me. And I just do fry up on a Saturday, and that become his thing. So he made this his New Year's resolution, and then we would send each other like a couple of your recipes in the week, and then it was his thing that he would make one. And the pie has lasted. It stood the test of time.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, his cooking regularly didn't last, but the pie remains. So when I said today you were on, she was like, yes, that's my girl. That's my
Pie
girl.
girl.
Pie girl. I want to talk about so much with you today. And I think it's really interesting because when everyone discovered you, it was probably in that same vein, right? Sharing those recipes and discovering you by social media. But I know there was a lot of work that was happening behind the scenes for quite a long time. But before we get there, let's start with your childhood. I always like to start way back when, because I really think it shapes who we are now. Mm-hmm. How was your childhood? What did that look like to you?
I would say chaotic.
Really?
I come from a massive family, so I'm one of 5.
Oh, okay.
But my parents had me and my older brother when they were very, very young.
Mm-hmm.
Then they were like, let's have one more about 8 years later, fell pregnant with twins. And then my mum had my little sister literally 12 months after giving birth to twins.
Oh,
so
my.
she had 3 kids under the age of 3.
Gosh, she's a hero.
She's an absolute Wonder Woman,
Wow.
like, as well. She's just incredible. Like, I love my mum. She was born to do it. But we then ended up having this, like, household that it was like me and my older brother, who were like 8, 9 years old at this point, and then these 3 kids under the age of 3, and like my twin brothers were chaotic. So
boys are chaotic as babies as it is, but 2 at once.
2.
Is
It was
quite a
like
lot.
having a friend over all the time. You know, that just like energy. So I think as a person, I kind of went from this like perfect little family of 4 to suddenly having to be relied on and very kind of hyper independent when it came to organising myself.
Yeah.
So I used to have to like get my school clothes ready. I would have to make sure that I like had enough money for like my school lunches, and like I would have to make sure that like my homework was done. No one was chasing me, if that makes sense.
Well, because the house was so busy.
So busy.
And I think I'm probably guilty as a parent doing that a little bit. Of my eldest is nearly 12, and she's not, I mean, by any means, she's not, definitely not providing her own money or anything. That's definitely me.
No, by that I mean like scrolling through the drawer and like trying to find the 20 and 10
I'm still
p's.
I'm still like sorting her out. Like, she's still young, but where there's 3 of them, I sort of think, all right, Labour, you're older, you know what to do. You go and have a shower, sort yourself out. Like, I think that does come with being the eldest in a house, doesn't it?
100%. And my older brother was definitely like a lot more disciplined and also a lot more book smart than I was.
Right.
So I think I ended up falling into this role that was kind of like I used to help cooking, like my mum with the cooking a lot, looking after my brothers and sisters, whereas my brother was able to kind of like go out with his friends a lot more and like just focus on like being this like multiple A-star student kind of thing. But I look back on my childhood and I look back at my family and I look back really fondly because it definitely shaped the kind of person that I am now. And I don't think I would be as resilient and as daring if I didn't feel like I had to make it work by myself anyway. And I think the way that I grew up, like even at school, I remember I was rubbish at sticking to a school curriculum or a timetable. I hated it.
So in what way? You didn't like that routine?
I felt like I could study and revise better and learn better. That was kind of like a different structure to what we were doing at school. Like I hated sitting through like a double lesson.
Oh yeah, I hated that.
And I'm just like, but I get kind of halfway to the point and I'm distracted and I'm not focused. And I always remember, like I did something called the International Baccalaureate, which is basically A levels on steroids. And I did higher level chemistry in that structure. And I remember my chemistry teacher turning around to me saying, Emily, I think you're going to fail. You should drop down to standard. And he wasn't a very nice person. And
sound like he's very positive.
No, great. I mean, like exactly what you want from a teacher. But I always say the kind of best example of who I am as a person is like, so I turned around and said, well, I'm not going to get there with you. And I said, I'm not going to turn up to any of your lessons and you can choose to report me or you can choose not to, but I said I'm not dropping down. And I got the second highest grade out of the whole of the year for high level chemistry, and I self-taught myself. So
and please tell me there was some sort of debrief with the same teacher after that scenario.
I remember when we had the awards ceremony, I said, not bad, hey. I'm not going to say his name, but I was like, not bad, hey. And he just looked at me and just walked off. But that is just, that's me. Yeah.
That's all you needed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love that. So I'm already seeing this kind of like, say I can't, I'm going to do it twice and take pictures mentality.
Yeah.
And do you think that's something that's been consistent through to now?
100%. 100%. Because I have never always, like, I've never been the smartest. I've never been the quickest. I've never been the tallest. Like, I've never been the person who turns around and people have said, oh, Emily, like, you're the best at this or you were born to do this. But I've always wanted to kind of grow and become a better version of myself. Always.
You've always had that ambition.
Massively so, yeah.
So take us back, because you're at school and you're studying and you're proving the teachers wrong. What inspired you to pursue a career in nutrition?
So I was always really into science, loved the way that the human body worked, like biology and chemistry. I think I wanted to go to university to maybe do like human physiology or something. And that's what I was in line to do.
Right.
I go to a music festival when I'm about 16, 17 years old, and I get scouted to become one of the first in-house models for ASOS.
Amazing.
And I mean, at the time, this is when ASOS was in its prime.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, that like I'm going to be on ASOS. And I had an amazing period of working there, incredibly kind of financially stable because modelling pays very, very well. And I suddenly went from kind of being this kind of little teenage girl to being in London 2-3 times a week. And it was funny because I had never really had any experience with diet culture or even nutrition before. Like if you asked me at school, would you go and be a nutritionist? I would laugh and be like, it's not proper like degree, is it? It's not a proper job. Like you're just telling people what to lose weight. And people have to remember this is literally like 12 years ago now, so quite a long time ago. And there was one day that my kind of person who managed me at ASOS turned around and said, would you like to get a modelling agency? And I said, yeah, like let's explore this. Let's do a little bit of like different work just compared to ASOS. And I had like a few months there and an amazing summer, and I travelled around, and I've always loved food. So I've always loved restaurants, eating out. So travelled around, ate all the good food, came back. My agency took Polaroids of me, which is the normal agency process. And they looked at the pictures that they'd just taken. They sat me down. They said, we need to just talk about you losing a bit of weight because your thighs, they shoot too big. And I'd never
How old are you at this point?
I must have been, do you know, I really try and I must have been like 18, I'm going to say, 19. And from the difference of being 16 to 19, I mean, we change. And I thought, do you know what annoys me as well? Is like, I say, oh, we change. I'm tiny. I'm a tiny person.
I was going to say, you are so small, but like you're so naturally petite.
So I've always been like, I've got no hips. They've never grown from the age of 12. But that's just me and that's my body. But it was the first time that they critiqued me. And if we think about like who I was as just a person, always wanting to strive to be the best and that best version of myself, I latched onto that. And suddenly that critique of my body, I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to people please here and I'm going to do the best possible job I can to lose weight. So what do?
God, it's so
It's
sad.
sad.
Yeah.
You go to the internet, and I Googled like how to lose weight quickly, and I was just like, everything was all about this toxic diet culture phase of things. And I unfortunately developed like a really like bad, quite rapid eating disorder where I lost a lot of weight very, very quickly. And I battled with that for probably about 6 to 9 months.
And did you battle with that in secret?
No. It was, I mean, it was, do you know what was so funny? The things that I were doing were not noticeable in the space of the fashion industry. So the not eating, the skipping things, the no dressing salads, the kind of just like losing a lot of weight. I remember when it first happened, people started to praise me. I do remember that. But my parents, obviously, and my mum was just like, that. My family were devastated. They didn't have a lot of idea.
But what you're saying is, in that space, this wasn't a big deal. That was relatively the norm.
Well, I suddenly realised that me having a ham and cheese panini at lunch when I was just normally working at ASOS was the abnormal thing, when everyone else was eating dry undressed salads. And it was nuts because, I mean, it happened very, very quickly, but because I've always believed that when something takes away more in your life than it adds, it's really time to change. And I realised that this whole modelling and fashion industry was stripping so much of what I loved about my life away. And I remember this very distinctive moment where my mum had made us all cheese rolls for lunch. And normally I always made my own lunch by this point. I refused to let anyone else cook for me.
Because you were controlling
Because I was controlling the food.
And what sort of thing this was the dry undressed salad?
This was like MyFitnessPal weighing your spinach leaves. This was like eggs with no egg whites. This was just like fat. I was petrified of fats, would never eat an avocado. A drizzle of olive oil over like a salad would be like give me a heart attack. And I know, and I say these things, and people may just be like, it's so silly, but like there are so many people out there who are battling.
It's far from silly. It's
Yeah.
you know, it's a disorder for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, so your mum makes a cheese roll for you all for lunch.
And it's this defining moment that I literally had this breakdown over a cheese roll, and I was like, this is not how I want my life to look. Because I was a beautiful, young, smart, intelligent girl who was ready to go to university and do something and learn something amazing. And suddenly this whole losing weight and not knowing how to fuel my body ruined my life. And I changed my degree because I deferred for a couple of years, and I changed my degree. I ended up going to King's in London, and I studied nutrition. And I find it so crazy now that I look back and I think of every single thing that I've built in my life and all the people that I help and I impact and I reach every single day, all is because of the kind of the things that didn't necessarily go my way.
Yes.
Like I didn't think, oh, I'm going to go and get an eating disorder and it's going to be the reason how, like,
It's
why
gonna
I
be my
find
reason.
my calling.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? But it's so funny that is actually how I ended up here.
And I think in those moments too, and having spoken to people before that have really suffered in the same way, it's really hard to be rational. So it's hard to say, it's something that can be a spiral, and it's really hard to sort of know what's real and what isn't, because you see a completely different version of yourself when you look in the mirror.
100%.
So to know that actually, God, I need to do something because this is ruining my life, that's a really big step, isn't it? And that's kind of a real big light bulb to go off in that moment when you can't sort of see straight.
Rationality goes out the window, and there is no rationale to any sort of like mental eating disorder.
No.
Like you can't try and just like
can't reason
tell
with
people.
it.
No, there is no reason with it. But it's why it's such a unique thing, and it's people's own journeys. And for me, it was the cheese roll. The cheese roll was the straw that broke the camel's back.
But it's so relative, isn't it? Everyone's journey is so personal. So you then change your degree. You are studying nutrition at university, and is it something you instantly click with?
No.
So
I remember going to university, and obviously I loved the science thing. And I also kind of like really like, I've always loved food. Like my granny was a chef. My first job was in her restaurant.
That's so cool.
And I remember going to university, and again, like I've just never been a person who's been very good at people telling me exactly how I should be doing something. I remember going through and learning about nutrition. I'm like, guys, this is all well and good, but like we don't eat nutrients, we eat food. And I'm going to say like 80% of the people on my course couldn't cook. So I often compare it now. I'm like, it's like having a football team of football players, but you never actually let them practice on the pitch and kick a ball. You just get them to like watch a DVD on how to play football.
Yeah, that's wild,
It's
isn't it?
nuts, isn't it?
So I'm sorry, I'm so naive with this. So when you're on those courses, you're not doing it necessarily around food and around cooking food.
There's no food technology combined with
Wow.
nutrition. And it's one thing that I'm really passionate about now is that goes back into schools as well. So I went back to my school like a few months ago, and I did a nutrition talk, and I did it with the food tech class. And I asked them, I was like, well, do you teach any sort of like nutrition in here? Do like people learn anything about kind of food and health? And they're like, yeah, we have this like one module that we do, but it's like vitamin D, vitamin C, like stops you getting scurvy, get it from oranges. And it's this unrelatable health nutrition advice, and
So interesting.
no wonder we're all lost in it, or we're
Yeah.
so confused.
And I remember thinking that when I left school, and I left school quite early, and I remember thinking I bought a home quite early, which is, yes, a very fortunate thing to be able to do. But I didn't know half of the thing, that went with buying a home. I remember when my mum told me that I had to pay water, and I was like, water? What do you mean? Isn't water just free? And I remember being so like blindsided by that, because they're the things that they don't quite teach you in school when it comes to actually being able to function as a human outside of lesson, you know?
And I think that's the thing. So I had amazing professors, incredible academics, and I was learning. There was like, I remember the most fascinating thing that I learned is there are the same sweet taste receptors on your tongue in the gut.
Oh.
Which is so cool. And I remember learning that. I'm like, wow, this is like so incredible. This science is amazing. And I started discovering things about like the gut microbiome and how that impacts pretty much everything in our body. And I'm like, cool. So how do I translate this to help all of this scientific information to help Bob and Jane?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I still think there was this kind of massive divide in every single thing that I was learning between like, okay, how is this actually going to be helpful and useful? And something that I always refer to like Little M, like something that Little M would have benefited from.
Yes, yeah, what would she want to know?
What would she want?
Because obviously the scale in which you can reach people today, that all has to start somewhere. So you knowing that there's this gap between what's being taught and actually how someone would consume that information. How did you come to the decision to start sharing on social media? Was that always the plan, or was there like a recipe that kicked off and you were doing that for friends, or was that a strategy of yours?
So actually, no. So I remember when I left university, I didn't have social media. I deleted Instagram. I actually kind of removed myself from the whole thing. And
Oh, what freedom.
it was, do you know what?
freedom that
it
is.
was quite lovely. It was, I think, because I'd had that kind of whole battle with my mental health. Like I just knew that social media, like looking at a lot of the stuff that was out there just wasn't something that was like nourishing my
Wasn't
soul.
filling you up.
And I think like most people, you leave university and you don't immediately fall into your dream job, and you apply and you get rejected, and it's really, really hard to find something. But I ended up getting a job at a DNA testing company. So we used to test people's DNA and offer them personalised nutrition advice based off it. And I worked a few months there, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I was like, do you know what? I really want to start my own business. And I've always wanted to do something for myself, exactly the same way that I wanted to teach myself chemistry. And I wanted to, I like to be on my own time. And it was just before COVID. And I remember I left my job and I set up a Squarespace website, and I ran Google ads and telling people that I was starting to take on one-to-one nutrition clients. And I wanted to coach them based on everything that I loved about science, but also what I believed that people wanted to eat.
Right, okay.
That was always the whole premise. And then obviously COVID happens. So I'm there in this like infantile business with probably 2 clients to my name that I just found on
And you've
Google
given up
ads.
your job.
Given up my job.
Everything's hell-bent on this business
working. And I'm not going to lie, I was in a very privileged situation where I wasn't paying rent. I was with my partner at the time who had a house, and I lived with him. So
but still, there's still a risk that you're taking for you.
Massively so. But I was lucky in the sense that I could...
There wasn't overheads as such.
I could take the risk without worrying that I was going to like lose my house or be homeless or have to move back home again. Even though I think my mum would have loved that. So yeah, I remember thinking, this just has to work, and I threw everything into it. And what I used to do for my clients is that I used to write all of their meal plans personally. So I remember working with a French woman. Her name was Amy Lee. She was perimenopausal. Loved French food. Quiche Lorraine was just like her favourite thing in the world. So I remember when we had a couple of calls, she was like, how can I do this weight loss journey but eat quiche Lorraine? So I would go away and I would write recipes for her based on her cravings and what she wanted to eat and build her meal plans out of that. So it was hyper personalised at the time.
Right, okay.
Because I only had like a few clients, I could do it. And all my clients started to turn around to me being like, best lasagna I've ever had. We make this weekly now. We absolutely love your food. Like, can I share this recipe with my mum? And I started to think, I think I've got something here. I think I'm doing something really great. I should post this on social media. So the journey from the kind of 1.8 million followers that I have on Instagram now to the starting point was literally my clients turning around being like, love the recipes that you make. Can you share them? And then I was able to start sharing them through Instagram, as I used to just take pictures of them and write the recipes in the caption, so my clients could share it with more people. And then the rest is history. That
is so interesting. And I suppose at the time, like you say, you're doing it for them. And did you have any idea that was you aware of the kind of gravitas of social media, and that actually, because I honestly think, I'm just thinking, obviously there's lots of influencers and we know that is, I say, a saturated space, but it's not, because you follow who you like and there's power in that influence. But I think you're the first page that I followed that was like solely recipes and ingredients and nutrition. I don't think I followed anyone like you.
Yeah.
Like in that space. I think I see more now, which is credit to what you've built. And, you know, I followed Deliciously Ella for a long time, so I suppose that's in a similar vein. But I think you're the first kind of new school
normal nutrition.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying
to think who your competitor would be at the time. I feel like you found a way to really carve your own space.
There wasn't one. And I think it's why I grew so quickly, because...
Yes. And also that's why your friend said you should do this, because it wasn't there, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So was there a moment that you're doing this, you've got this kind of handful of clients. Was there a moment that you thought, okay, this is connecting and this is really working now, I'm onto the right thing here, in terms of like the online presence?
So I remember that the social media started to grow quicker than my kind of clinic client side of things did.
Okay.
And I never thought that Instagram and TikTok and stuff would end up becoming kind of like my main source of income. But I'm trying to think of what the defining moment was. I think when I started to hit maybe kind of 50,000 followers, and then brands started to become interested in working together, and that kind of spiraled, and people wanted me to go on their podcasts. It became a very kind of organic, natural word of mouth.
Yes.
And I remember actually, when things started to open up again, I had an opportunity to open up a Deliveroo dark kitchen. I don't often talk about it, but it's not often something that people know about me. But I basically, when all the restaurants and the pubs closed down, they used to rent out their kitchens to takeaway concepts.
Right, okay, I did not know this.
No, so I started a Deliveroo company called the Nutritionist Table.
Right.
And it lasted probably about 3 months, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But that was using my recipes again on Deliveroo format. So people will be able to buy like my salad bowls and my breakfast and stuff on Deliveroo. And then I ended up getting like a small little catering contract with Warner Brothers Studios that I used to meal prep for like 4 of the actors on the set of The Flash.
No way.
Which was nuts. And I talk about it now, I don't reference it enough, because I think it's important for people to know it's like, from where I am now to starting that kind of first little nutrition clinic, I've had my fingers in loads of different pies, and I've tested and I've tried loads of different things, but they're all kind of like a stick together mosaic of what has made me successful and have a real strong presence. And I feel like I know exactly who I am in this health and nutrition space now because of all of the kind of random things that I've done.
But you are health and you are nutrition and you are wellness, but there's so many different sort of facets to that, isn't there? It's not kind of like all you're going to do is have an Instagram channel. There are lots of different layers to that, and how you get people to hear it, right?
Yeah.
Different platforms that you need to use and different kind of avenues that you need to try before everybody really goes, okay, I'm understanding this now. And if that's what you're doing for the greater good of letting people, like, it goes back to that kind of class where you're like, how do we bring this into food?
Yeah.
You know, you need to do whatever you can to let people really digest that, for want of a better word, message. Did you get to a point where because obviously then it quickly, like you say, you're around 50,000 followers, brands then want to be involved. You know that then this is now an avenue for income and it's probably bettering the clinic side of stuff. Did it then become a conscious effort to make Instagram more of a strategy? Because obviously it's at the start you're posting if and when I've got a recipe. Oh, I hope people see it. And then you're going in that traction, and then you know it could lead to other things potentially. Does it become like a conscious effort to make Instagram a business?
Do you know what? I say yes and no. I feel like the transition from going from my clinic into solely doing social media was very kind of flowing and organic.
Right.
Like it kind of really happened, and I knew when it was the right time to step away from my clinic side of things, because I realized that I can help thousands of people, but the level of personalization that I wanted to do when I worked with someone one-on-one, I was capped really at 6 to 7 clients a month. I couldn't, and that still pushed me to like my absolute time limit.
You're trying to give somebody your all, aren't you?
My all, yeah. And I started that clinic naively in what I wanted to, or how I wanted to help people, because that level of personalization is just not, like, it's not sustainable for one person. So unless I was able to expand the nutrition clinic, and it wasn't financially successful in a way that supported that.
When you're service-based to that degree, people want you. So if you was to build out your clinic, you can imagine the clients that you've already had. Yeah, great, but I want you to do it because you get me.
And that's the thing. So I was tied. So
you're
then,
spreading yourself thin.
Super thin. And then I realised, like, oh my goodness, all the things that I was helping my clients with that left me super fulfilled, I can do through social media. So I ended up carving this really definitive strategy. And from day one, like, this has always been my main strategy. And it's the food you want to eat designed by a nutritionist.
Yes.
And that underpins every single thing that I do. And it's very helpful that my husband's a marketing strategist. So we sat down and we were like, who are you in this space? Because if you don't know who you are as someone who wants to create a business or create a brand identity, then how on earth are you going to find the people who relate to you, your customer, your consumer? And there's nothing wrong with like exploring a few different avenues and maybe like testing new things, but through it all, I always knew who I was.
There's the same message.
Same message, core message.
So what I think, like, from being somebody, a follower and on the outside, and I suppose consuming that content, that you do really well is actually, there's, like you say, that same message, but you can follow those trends really well. And you can get, you know, those moments that people are eating. I remember when the tuna cardo, and it was a big phase. I mean, it's still a phase for me because I had one before you came here.
Long live the tuna cardo.
Long live the tuna cardo. I remember my sister sending me, she's like, there's a healthy one because Em's done it, you know? And I think those moments you do really, really well. And you've got a way of being really reactive, which is important, right, when you're dealing with that online community.
So important. Yeah.
To be reactive in that way and be able to go, okay, this is what everyone's talking about. Let's see how we can bring this to life.
Yeah. And I think when people complain about things like algorithms and engagement, it's because, in all honesty, often it's because you're not giving the people what they want. And content creation and influence is not a vanity project, or it's not a vanity project anymore.
Yeah.
People care less and less about you. They care more and more about what they want to consume and what they're going to find valuable.
Yes.
So I think if there's anyone who's listening to this and they are trying to kind of grow on social media or get more engagement on social media, you really have to kind of work out, okay, like, who is my audience? What do they want? What do they follow me for? And also, like, if I was watching this, would I find this beneficial? And sometimes we can get so lost in trying to like reinvent the wheel that all people want sometimes is a lasagna recipe.
Yes,
And
that's all I want, girl.
Like, I think, what did I post the other day? I think yesterday I posted like this grilled peach hot honey cottage cheese toast. Flew. Then I came up with this really ingenious, like super unique, like transportable frittata loaf recipe. Flopped. But it's one of these things. It's like.
But then also there's an argument that you actually sometimes don't know what will land. Like something, I suppose, sometimes you can have that fluke. You're like, God, if I'd have known people were going to go mad for that, I'd have made 5 of them the week before.
Yeah, we've just done toast this whole time.
We've just been doing toast for years. It's so funny. Everything always leads to something, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I really believe that. So you're doing your course, you then have a handful of clients, then they ask you to get on social media, and then that kind of evolves, and then you're sitting on loads of followers, and then you get a publishing deal. Mm-hmm. So was that always the plan? Did you always think, do you know what, one day I'd love to have a book? Because that it makes perfect sense, right? Did you always think to yourself, I'd love to have a book, I'd love somewhere to hold all of these recipes? Or how does that look? Because when people go from online in a recipe vein to a publishing deal, I always wonder how that looks and if you're conflicted on what you do, because you want people to buy the book, but at the same time you're known for being really generous with your time and your recipes and giving them for free. So is that quite a funny? Is that something that's quite hard to articulate, knowing how many recipes to keep posting whilst you're trying to promote a book?
Do you know, it's such a good question, actually. And I mean, the book kind of happened very organically. I've always, like, Nigella Lawson's always been my muse. If I just think about that kind of like evocative, like sensuality and like
fab.
Joy of food, like, and I remember sitting down at Christmas and like can't wait to watch her little like TV episodes. She was the cookbook that my mum used to plop down in front of me, and it was like sticky with all of the pages, and we always used to make the chocolate cake out of it for everyone's birthday. So when the idea of having a cookbook, like, for me, it threw me back to those moments. It's like, I can't wait for people to just have this in their kitchen, in their family home, entwined in their life. And like, someone sent me a lovely message the other day being like, look, I loved following you on social media, but you know, it's so nice. It was just ingrained in my family life now because you're always on my kitchen side.
That's nice.
So there's this level of like tactileness that I don't think people can ever take away from books. Mm-hmm. And it's why I don't, like, I mean, my cookbook hasn't been any sort of competition for my social media, but people love it all. Like, there's always room to kind of like try new things and search new things, but a cookbook has that more kind of like final, homely, foundational kind of like loveliness.
And there's always that lovely thing of not having to pause a reel to be like, hang on, what does she do next?
Even though sometimes, so I film the reel and I change the recipe slightly and everyone goes berserk. They're like, what do I do? Do I do the video or the recipe? And it's like, follow the recipe in the caption.
Yeah, and you're allowed to adapt it a little bit. It's okay.
I absolutely hate coriander. I'm like, don't put it in. It's fine. Like,
see, isn't that so divisive? Coriander is the most divisive herb ever. It's like Marmite of herbs, isn't it? I love it.
I love it. But my favourite ones are when I do like cottage cheese pancakes and someone turns around and says, I don't like cottage cheese. I'm like, don't make this pancake recipe. There's so many other pancake recipes.
There's a simple way out here.
This isn't for you, hub. It's fine.
It's like with my brand, someone wrote to me the other day, and our thing is, you know, our ethos is everything, like every single product, whether we've done vitamin gummies, whether it's toiletries, everything is infused with organic coconut oil. We're called My Little Cocoa. That's what we do. Hi, I'm allergic to coconut oil, so I'm wondering if I'm like, no, I get it. Or like, can I use another scent? I'm like, no, literally every single product has coconut oil. We're probably not the best brand, but thanks for like caring and asking. But are you sure I can't use this? No, still the same rule of life.
God love the public.
We love it. So let's talk about writing books, because I've written a cookbook before. And have to tell you, Em, I love it. And I was very excited. It was a Sunday Times bestseller. And I was like, how? Because I'm just a mum just doing the things that I feel like are working. It's called At Mama's Table. And it's recipes that work. I'm like a fan of just cooking one meal, but making it work for everyone. And that was kind of the reason for the book. And I loved it. And we did it over lockdown. And it wasn't actually supposed to be a thing. I was on the phone to the publishers and they were like, what are you doing? And it was just a Zoom catch up, because all we did was Zoom. And I was like, I'm just cooking. That's all I'm doing. I'm cooking. I was pregnant and I just was like really nesting. And we then developed a cookery book, which I love and I love so much. But what I found so hard was the like, I'm such a glug of this, glug of that, stir that in, mix it in type of cook. It's not really methodical. And then breaking it all down and the recipe testing element. And I had a great recipe tester that then did that alongside me. And I'd be like, this is what I use. This is what I do. I'd be like on FaceTime to her over lockdown. And she would then go and like do the exact quantities. That bit, I'm like, this is really... And then they're like, you need this many more recipes. I'm like, this isn't my job. I cook what I cook. And it was a period of time that I loved, because I tried lots of different things and like adapted things to kind of make more out of it. And someone said to me the other day, are you going to do another cookbook? I'm like, no, girl, I'm not, because this is literally what I cook. And this is, you know, like when you grow up and everything's on rotation, like the kids know there's going to be a shepherd's pie on this night. Yeah. This night's they know how that's going to look. Is it something that, because you're sharing recipes as you go, and obviously that's all you do, is it something that you're like, oh my gosh, like there's a lot more to this? People don't realise writing a book is difficult, right? You kind of, when you actually go to bare bones of it, is it something that just sort of started writing itself, or?
I think I was born to write recipes, because I write them in my brain.
Do you?
Fully out my brain.
And is it hard to like make sure it's different to the last one? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know what it's like. It's like telling like a songwriter or a singer, like how do you come up with new songs?
Yes.
Like how do you like make new rhythms and sounds and beats if you're a producer? It's like it comes so naturally to me. Like it's my talent. 100%. I would admit that. It's my calling. It's my talent. It's my passion. It's like breathing. It's like creating art for me. And I'll be able to look at something and tell you the weight, the grams, like milliliter, all that stuff. So I can literally just write that recipe straight out. And what I'll do with my reels is whenever you see a video, I have just gone to the shop, picked up ingredients of like a concept I have in my mind. I'll go home, I'll film myself making it. And then based on how I've made it, I will write out the recipe with all the kind of grams without ever measuring anything based on what I've thrown together.
Wow.
That's how
can I just tell you, if you're listening to this, that's fucking impressive. Because I genuinely, that's one thing that I remember when I was talking to the publisher. I'm like, guys, I do not know what goes into this. And that's when I got a recipe tester. Yeah. God, I should have had you.
I'll be busy, babe.
No. This is way back when. We'd have had a great time together. But that is such a skill set.
I know. Yeah.
Like yeah. Wow, that's beyond. I'm in awe. Which brings me to my next question. When you feel like you've cracked it and you've delivered this book that you're so proud of, then you go again. So then you've got another book. Is that a hard thing to kind of be as... Because obviously this is your passion, right? And obviously you're always going to be passionate about this. But was it a case of, okay, I didn't include this? Or is it taking a whole new route to the previous book?
So I'll often refer to just all the like wonderful copies of, again, Nigella Lawson's books that I had. And my mum always had like 3 recipes from that book, 2 recipes from that book that she absolutely loved. And what I wanted Live to Eat to do is basically just be a continuation of So Good. So when people want new recipes and they crave the same thing of the food you want to eat designed by a nutritionist, it's kind of just book 2 for that. And the hardest thing was trying to narrow down the recipes that I wanted in it, because the best thing with my social media on my Instagram is I basically get to road test all of the
Yes.
recipes and the ones that people go back to time and time again, the ones that people love. And there is some repetition with ones that have been featured on my Instagram and then inspired to kind of be in Live to Eat. And and obviously new ones as well, but that's just what works for people. And it's about trying to make eating well as easy, simple, straightforward, and accessible as possible. That's what my books will always be. And I mean, So Good and Live to Eat are definitely kind of like a pair of just like really great recipes. And then I think with like book 3, book 4, we can get a little bit more specific. Like I've always loved Nigella Express, so I want to do like a quick, speedy recipe book. I always love the idea of like, hopefully when I have like a family of my own, doing like, that kids and family
Like more
kind of
like sort of
book.
concept
driven and
books.
focused. Yeah.
And do you like, because you hear like writers, you know, that write novels or like self-help books, like take periods of time out to focus on that and go into complete book zone, because often you find that the first one sort of writes itself because it's that thing that you've been gearing up for so long. But doing it again, is that like, do you focus time to say, okay, we're in book mode, I've now got to try a load of recipes for that? I'm so interested in this. I feel like I just want to come and like live in your kitchen.
I think about recipes and food 24/7, 365 days a year. Like there's not a single day that I'm not thinking about. Like you should see my notes. Wow. They are just like organised chaos.
So it's like the books are always being written.
They're always being written. And I'll literally be on a walk with my husband and he'll be talking about padel or something. And I'm just like, hold that thought. And I literally whip my phone out and I just type like 3 ingredients that have just come into my head of like something that I want to make, and I'll just put it away. And then I'll come back to it. So it's constantly this evolution of recipes, and they will be inspired about real life. So a few weeks ago, like I was constantly traveling up and down. I was constantly on trains, in cars, and normally I have obviously the luxury to be able to just like cook at home, prep at home, like make my lunches. I didn't. So I had a pain point of like, okay, I have no time. I need to prep something that I'm actually going to enjoy and eat. What can I do? So a lot of my recipes actually perform really well are born out of like real life pain points.
Yes.
So I think that's where it just like I do food not because I think it's going to look pretty and because it's trendy. I do food because it's like actually what people will make and want to make, and they're going to find beneficial in their life.
We all need to eat.
We all need to eat.
Are you like, does everyone get really nervous when you come around for dinner?
Petrified.
I could so see it.
Do you know what's so funny? My mum is like the most... My mum cuts up a pepper. She's probably going to kill me for saying this. Cuts up a pepper with her hands. So she get her thumb, she push the top of the pepper in, rip it in half, like, and then just like prep the things off, like pop them in the chili con carnes. And I'm just like, Mum, that is not the proper way to do it. Because I've got loads of chef friends now, so I feel like I picked up like a few of like tips and tricks. But
you'll be like the dream dinner guest for conversation, but everyone's terrified to put something. I'm like, does she like it? Is she looking like she's smiling? Does she love it?
I eat everything. Like I'm not fussy, and to be honest, just give me like tomatoes, salt, olive oil, and like warm bread and like whipped ricotta. Ooh. And I'm just like love.
Oh yes, yeah, you're right.
Simple.
Sometimes it's the simple things, isn't it? I want to talk about how obviously these have been like real stages of your career so far, and everything for you. Like, it's fair to say you've had rapid growth in terms of being in sort of the public eye and in that sort of space. Like from when you were on everybody's radar, I feel like it seems to have really skyrocketed for you. Let's talk a bit about epetōme, because one thing I love myself as a founder, I do. I get very, very excited about the kind of concept and the creation of a new business and a brand. There's something that moment where you can feel that idea really come into life is something that I just want to bottle forever. Like it's that feeling like no other to me. Where did the idea come from, and was there a gap that you set out to fill?
So I still have the Pinterest board from literally just when I graduated university of this gut health clinic concept that I always wanted to start, because gut health was like my love. Like it was so interesting. And I used to work with a few gut health clients doing personalized meal plans, just kind of like food advice for people who are suffering with IBS and bloating and food sensitivities. And it's become like an epidemic. Like it's everywhere. So many people are suffering from gut health issues, and it affects everything. It affects our mood, our anxiety, it affects our skin, it affects our immunity, it affects like how well we absorb food. Like pretty much everything from a 360 angle of our body is all affected by gut health. And in the same way that I love how my recipes are actually able to make a difference, I've always loved the idea of creating a brand founded on actually helping people. And I think the biggest issue with the supplement market is loads of the supplements out there, especially the ones that are kind of like influencer founded, they are white labeled products.
Yeah.
So they're not actually developed and
With that in mind.
With that in mind. So I was very, very lucky that my husband's cousin was a very successful entrepreneur. And we had many kind of like a dinner and a Christmas and stuff, just sitting, chatting together. And I would tell him about my ideas. And I remember they approached me probably like a year and a half ago now. And they're like, do you want to do something together? And I said, yes, but we have to do it my way. And it has to be like exactly like this. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. And we kind of ended up setting up epetōme. From the ground up, I built every single thing from the strains, the exact strains that went into the capsule. And I always say probiotic strains are like white t-shirts. You can get one from Primark, you can get one from Cos, you can get one from the Row. Just because they're a white t-shirt doesn't mean they're all kind of built the same. So you invest in what you want to invest in, especially as a brand looking to actually help people in a brand with integrity. So we chose all of that. We had this amazing duo cap, which has this like biphasic system where the outer cap releases first with these kind of gut supporting nutrients. Then you have the inner cap that has all of the different probiotic strains inside that then gets released at the right time where it's meant to be. And it's honestly one of my proudest achievements now, because the amount of people who life-changing reviews, and we do this gorgeous thing where we actually live interview our customers.
Oh, I love
so we get
that.
them on a Zoom call, and I talk to them. I'm like, tell me about your journey and like what's gone on and how has epetōme helped you. And there are like life-changing stories that we're collecting from our amazing community of this product that I care so much about in an industry that I feel needs more kind of like integrity built into it. But it's actually making a difference.
And it's so interesting because this is exactly what you set out to do from you helping those handful of clients, you know, when you're a straight up nutritionist and all of this other side of you hadn't existed. So it's so nice to see that consistency.
Everything feels like it fits into my story and my journey and my purpose, I think, as well, which is really nice. And I think I've had a few other ideas down the road, and my husband's turned around to me and was like, stick to the strategy.
Yes.
Because sometimes we get all excited and we think we have an amazing idea, but it's like we have to make sure that it's staying true to who we are. Again, otherwise the people who know us and kind of like follow us get confused.
Yes, exactly that. Do you, obviously that side of it and the kind of purpose behind the brand is what you know. Like you say, you can, the recipe of your eyes shut, this is kind of so in the bones of you. How about the brand execution? How about, was there anything you found a little difficult away from what you know best? So the branding, the marketing, the strategy, the numbers, the finance, was there anything that, because the other side of it is so you, and that's like what you eat and breathe, was there anything that you kind of were like, I just don't know where to start here, I'm going to give it a go, but I just don't know what I'm doing?
So definitely the best thing that I delegated was that kind of A to B kind of marketing and ad testing. Right. So we have a full marketing team behind epetōme. Shout out Chelsea. You are the heart and the soul of epetōme. Like, we wouldn't have been able to build it without Chelsea. She's an absolute legend. But she does all the things that I'm not very good at.
Right.
So she is much more kind of is able to kind of keep all the blocks building step by step by step, making sure that kind of production's fired at the right time. Because when you first grow, like, you put a lot of investment into things, and then you need to sell in order to kind of make the money to be able to redo the investment.
We talk about it a lot. The cash flow is always the kind of, any new brand, that's the starting that's the first sort of stumbling block, because you need, yes, it's selling well, but then you need the cash flow to place the next order, because you need to keep it in stock. I remember when we first went out of stock, I was like ready to party, and everyone was like, no, this is a logistical nightmare.
We went
But
out of
I didn't
stock,
know
yeah.
that. I didn't know that. It was my first business. I'm used to being the face of people's brands. So if I sold out, I'm like, great, there goes I get my bonus now, fabulous. But obviously it's great because it means the demand's there. But then behind the scenes, I just remember that first sellout being like, oh, okay, this isn't so joyous. This is more like, okay, now off we go.
Yeah.
Did you understand the kind of everything behind the business before you launched it?
No, but I'm very lucky that my business partners were very kind of like successful. Like they built a previous brand and sold it, so all of that infrastructure
You could be a sponge.
Was there, and I've learned so much. And we were basically able to take my dream product that I literally built from the ground up and just stick it into exactly the same engine and model.
And it's one of those situations that your expertise is in the actual product itself, and knowing what needs to exist and what gap you want to fill. But it's quite, when something is your baby, it's, of course, you've got the right people around you to trust in, but it's it's a mature way of thinking, because there are so many different founders that I sit down and talk to that are actually so hell-bent on doing everything themselves, because you're like, this is my baby, I want to make sure this is executed right. It's so important to know that it's an option to delegate early on. And
epetōme would not have grown in the way it's grown if I didn't just put my entire trust in the team. And also they put a lot of trust in me. God, I remember the sleepless nights just before we're about to launch. And when you do a product like this, I mean, our clinical trials are underway at the moment. I'm really excited to get those published, kind of like latter end of September or 4th. But we launched and we had to kind of trust that my concept of the product was good enough. And I mean, thank goodness, it has, and I believe it would be, because I try to use as basically every single bit of, I've read every study, every strain, all the bits and bobs before putting it together. But yeah, I think knowing when the right time to invest in the right help can really be the difference between you growing and then skyrocketing.
Yes.
And a year down the line, epetome's a year old now. We just celebrated a couple of weeks ago, and our subscriber rate is incredible.
Amazing.
And we are like each month, even though we put a lot of money into ad spend, we're profiting as well, which is just so almost unheard of.
Unheard of in that space so early on,
it's phenomenal. And that, I think, is a testament to the product. I think it's a testament to our kind of marketing strategy and our plan and our team. And also just letting our customers tell the story.
Yeah, it's that is what's so important, having that constant direct communication with those customers, as you say, and making sure they're really kind of involved. What does your day-to-day role look like at epetōme now? A year in, celebrated your year birthday. Has anything changed from a year ago in terms of what you do and your involvement?
Yeah, I mean, when I obviously launched it, we were very, very reliant on me and my brand to create awareness and growth. So to get it out in front of as many people as possible, I'm the kind of routine for doing kind of the PR and the magazines.
Almost like an ambassador as well as founder.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was that face. But I think with any business that you really want to kind of grow, it can't ever be reliant on me. So I now kind of take a little bit of a back step when it comes to kind of content creation and ad creation. We're kind of growing that out a little bit more. And now I really drive just kind of product integrity, new product development, where are we going next, what are we doing in the space, and just making sure that the brand stays really, really true to kind of who we were when we first started. Yeah. And even when we're talking about new product development now, I speak to the team, I'm like, it has to be just as useful and helpful as our first SKU. And I don't want to just keep on trying to just rapidly expand and just come up with products that we think people want to take. For the sake of it. It's no, what do people actually need? What's actually going to make a difference? If they're going to spend, their hard-earned money on something. And epetōme is it's not cheap, but it's not going to be cheap because we don't do a cheap process. We don't use cheap things. But I want someone to invest in that and be like, that was worth every penny.
Yes.
Every time.
And it's almost like you say, when some brands scale so quickly, when you're sold a product and it's an investment and it's something that is guaranteed to perform a certain way, it then can become a little bit confusing when there's constant newness. When actually, hang on, I thought this was the thing I was waiting my whole life for.
Do I need that as well? Especially with the supplement space.
Yes.
And it's so oversaturated.
Because I think, and like as a consumer of supplements, I'm like, I rattle when I walk. I'm like, I'll give anything a go. Honestly, I'm like, tell me it's good for me and my gut and everything in between. I'm there. But it can be overwhelming. You know, not everyone is like me where they're, my friends think I'm mad where I'm taking this for this and that for that and this before bed, and I love it.
But, I love it as well,
but not everyone is in that same space. They just want something they can trust and that they can rely on. What do you think has been, you know, in its first year, it's still a baby, right?
Yeah.
What do you think has been your proudest moment so far?
It has to be when I just get those out the blue messages on like a Tuesday night of someone being like, and it always starts, "Hi Emily, I don't normally do this, or I never normally message anyone, but I just want to tell you how much you've changed my life."
Wow.
And those messages, I screenshot them all and I keep them in a little folder. And the days that sometimes I feel a little bit more stressed and overwhelmed because like I have my fingers in many pies now. So there's like lots of different parts of my brain that have to focus on lots of different things. But it's the core reason for it all. And I go back to the very, very start of my journey and I think about that cheese roll moment where I was just on my kitchen floor crying because I couldn't eat a cheese roll, to reading those messages now and thinking about how my life now impacts so many other people's lives, and my ideas and my thoughts and my creative concepts have this like positive like effect on so many people. Like that is just, it's amazing. Like I don't think I let that sink in as much.
Yeah,
as
and I don't think that will ever get old.
No,
you know,
never.
having those moments will never get old. Is your setup, because obviously we speak a lot on this show about scaling and, you know, when businesses are in their infancy and taking on outside investment and really wanting to sort of, I suppose, reach as many mouths as it were at once. Is that something that you've thought about?
Yeah, we've had a few chats with VCs now, but I think it's one of the things that we're so good where we are that we don't need to give anything up for outside investment to continue to grow in the way that we want to grow.
Yes.
So I think it's we don't want to kind of jump the gun and be like, okay,
It's still soon, isn't it? Yeah.
And like for me, as I said, like I care so much about the brand and the product that I don't want to get anyone else in who's going to try and change that.
Yeah.
And I always remember like the reason why I ended up going with the publishing house that I went with for So Good is all the other publishers wouldn't let me call it So Good. So we can't call it So Good. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, So Good's my thing. It's
That
like
is
I
your
eat
thing.
food and I'm like, so, and I say, like, you say So Good and people think of me. Like I've managed to trademark So Good, which is like mental. And yeah, there was one, my publisher, George, and he was like, no, you can call it So Good. I was like, cool, I'll go with you then. And imagine if I let other people's opinions change what in my gut I knew was right.
Yeah.
So,
which seems just ironic. It's like, if you believe in me and you're going to publish my book because you know there's weight in that, the title is kind of irrelevant.
it was always going to be called So Good.
Yeah.
And if it's not going to be called So Good,
It's not
then
happening.
you're not doing it.
Yeah, and it's knowing that and being, but it's almost testament to being brave in those situations and trusting that you know yourself and what you do better than anyone else and anyone outside of your circle. But that's a hard thing to do, particularly if you've not got experience with publishers beforehand, and it's a good thing to hold your own and know your worth and your value in those moments.
And I'm so lucky that like my husband is my biggest cheerleader and support. Like I would not be as successful and where I am if I didn't have that love and support through him, because every single moment of like wobble of confidence or self-doubt, he's literally there like, no, you're amazing, like you've got this. And he'll always be the person that I turn to and can ask for advice and trust his opinion, even though sometimes we do disagree, because he's like, what do you mean you don't agree with me? I'm so, I don't agree with you in this one.
Sometimes you're like, this or this?
Yeah.
That one? You're like, no, I think this one.
Yeah.
Well, why did you ask me, babe? You're going to do it anyway. I'm like, yes, I am. Just needed to say it out loud. Sounding board, that was all.
Oh.
I don't actually want your opinion.
No, but we love him. We love him.
I'm going to do our rocket round now.
Great.
Which we do on every show, and it's supposed to be quick fire. So whatever the first that comes into your head. What do you believe are the non-negotiables for launching a business?
Clear, defined strategy and knowing who you are as a brand.
Ooh, I love that. When did you first realise that you truly launched?
When the first sale went through, I guess. Yeah. When I was in a cable car in Italy and an Italian girl turned around to me and said, I love your recipes.
Oh.
And it was like a random tiny little town in Sicily, and I was like, wow.
Oh my gosh. Yes. It's sometimes it is those kind of conversations that you have with a random person that you're like, it's on their radar. Or for me, it was my nan. I remember she said something and she was like so impressed with what I did. I didn't feel like she saw anything. She saw this one thing and I was like, oh, okay, maybe people know what I'm doing. Maybe this band I'm in's not doing too badly. It's so funny. What's the first thing you do when you wake up and the last thing you do before you go to bed?
Go for a morning walk and take
What sort of time?
6 a.m.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Thank goodness it's bright outside.
Yes.
And then take my magnesium right before bed.
Oh, nice. Love that. One piece of advice that you wish you hadn't listened to?
Do you know what? I don't think there's been a piece of advice that I've listened to that I've regretted.
Ah.
Honestly.
I like that.
I think that's why I don't have an answer.
You've had good people advising you.
I have, and I think I've always been the person who, if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it.
Love that. You're not swayed by like outside noise, distraction.
No.
That's so good. So good. What's a skill that you'd love to learn?
I'd love to be able to play the piano, just so I can jump on like St. Pancras or something and be like...
I love that. Just so I can jump on just greeting people and then on the way back from Paris.
Exactly.
Right outside the blank street.
Yeah. Pop to M&S afterwards.
So fun. I just love that that's your reason.
Is it shallow?
I love it. Just so next time at St. Pancras I can play for the Eurostar. What's one thing you wish someone had told you before you started your business?
You're going to fail. And you're going to have days that feel impossible. But unfortunately, that is just part of the ride.
That's what you signed up for.
This is what you signed up for. And it's this beautiful, incredible, chaotic roller coaster. And you have to remember that just because you're down, you're not out.
Yes, that is because it's so hard at the time when you're in it and you're in the trenches to sort of get your head above it. But actually, it's all temporary. And I think we spoke about this a lot. It's like separating that if something does fail and it doesn't work out, that actually it's that thing that hasn't worked out. It's not you.
Exactly.
You aren't defined. It's not defined by you.
Keep
it's
on swimming.
That moment.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Oh, I love this one. What would be the dream brand collab for you? If epetōme was to team up with another brand to do like, a gifting suite or a press trip. You're seeing a lot of this now. Brands come together, which I love. I think it's genius.
It would have to be, oh my God, I stayed at Grand Hotel Tremezzo in Lake Como. And it was absolutely incredible. So maybe we could just do a brand takeover there.
Oh my God,
stay there for a week.
Gorgeous.
But, I'm very lucky that all of the brands that I think are on like my manifestation board, I have worked with. Marks and Spencer's is just like up there.
Oh,
Like
it's the
my
best.
absolute favourite. I want Dyson as well because everyone always asks me how I do my hair and I'm like, Dyson Airwrap.
Airwrap. Oh, Airwrap's
So-
is just what an invention.
Best thing ever.
For someone that like is lucky enough to get their hair done for work, when I'm like left to my own devices, it's the only thing that I can deal with.
Honestly, like, and sometimes if I've got a shoot, I'll just do my own hair because I like how it looks with the
You
air
like
wrap
the air
over
wrap?
than I do.
There you go.
Stylist.
Epetōme and air wrap. It's got
Yeah.
a ring to it.
Percy Pigs.
If you could choose one female figure as a mentor, past or present, who would that be?
Probably Nigella. Just because I feel like she is such a perfect example of like how to build such strong brand identity.
Yes.
She's her. She's Nigella Lawson. You know exactly who she is, and that you can hear her in your head. And I just love. I feel like she's just such a strong example of how to be.
She's Christmas to me.
Is she?
Like I really, growing up, that it wasn't Christmas until you'd watch like some sort of Nigella special. Like she just really, like you say, she's got that real strong identity that you recognise.
And I think she stands like she's just a perfect example of how it just stands the test of time as well.
You're so right. There we go. Each episode, I ask our guests to leave a tip. So sort of one piece of tangible advice to women looking to launch, perhaps in the same sort of space that you had. If you was to give one piece of advice to a listener, what would that be?
Having the right people around you can really make the difference for you doing well and you becoming very successful. And I think sometimes it can feel very isolating if you are trying to do something yourself, and also quite intimidating of like, who do I turn to? What idea kind of can I lean on someone else with? But honestly, I couldn't have done all the things that I've done truly without the people who I've built around me over these last few years.
It's so true. It's like you might be the person at the front of everything, but always behind you are like a team that are clapping and holding it down and there for the wobbles and the everything in between. It's so important to have the right crew around you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's life-changing. Like, and my lovely manager Danny, who's around the corner, like he's a legend, and I couldn't do it without him. And I know sometimes I'm a bit grumpy and moody, and sometimes
We can all be that.
Don't do this today. He's always there.
He gets it.
He gets it.
That's what you need. And then lastly, I ask everyone, because I'm nosy and I love food, but you also love food, so you're not going to find this too weird. We talk about ladies looking to launch, but what about ladies who lunch? And I was going to ask you how you typically spend a lunch hour and what you would eat. But actually, I feel like you kind of have to eat with your job. Like you're constantly recipe testing and constantly cooking. So I'm going to change it up a little bit for you. If you were going to book somewhere for your dream meal, let's say in London, because we're in London right now. If you were going to say, okay, after this, we're going to go for lunch. And it's going to be, we're going to order my favourite thing at my favourite place. Where are we going? Because I'm about to book it after this. And what are we eating?
So we're going to go to Dorian and Notting Hill.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to land and we're going to have crab rosties to start.
God, you are so prepared for this. I just did that on the whim and you are prepared. I love this.
I mean, I literally live and breathe food and restaurants.
Okay, tell me.
It's where I spent all my free time. Then we're going to have the chicken parfait toast. Then we're going to have tempura langoustine. Then we're going to get sharing steak, bone-in ribeye, potatoes, béarnaise sauce, whatever size that they have, and then finish with every single dessert on the menu.
I'm so hungry and I'm so booking myself, Dorian,
phenomenal.
ASAP. Can we just like print that out for me, guys? Just soundbite that clip just so I can.
I promised Caroline that I'll take her, so you should come along with us. Let's just do a big lunch.
Oh my gosh, me and you and Caroline Hirons, that's
Heaven.
it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I've loved talking to you. Love hearing all about your journey. And as you know, I've been kind of watching on the sidelines and afar going, woo, yes, and making your recipes. But
I
it's
appreciate your support always.
So good to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
love that.
Thank you.
Don't forget to follow us on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts to make sure you don't miss out, because next time we're going to be talking to another incredible lady who launched. If, like me, you're a watcher, then follow us on YouTube and please don't forget to like and subscribe.